And turning now to the EU, which you've also addressed in your report, around mid-September, the EU Commission proposed the suspension of the trade-related pillar of the EU Association Agreement, which is the deal that governs political and diplomatic relations between Israel and the EU. And yet, Israel remains the EU's largest trade partner. And apparently there is a stumbling block to this suspension. Basically, the suspension of the free trade provisions in the association agreement would require the approval of a qualified majority of the 27 EU members, which is also known as a double majority rule of at least 55% of member states and 65% of the EU population. And this may sound a little bit technical, but effectively it means that it would require Italy or Germany to support the bid. And so far, the two nations have yet to approve any proposal to sanction Israel during the genocide. So, because of the failure to suspend the association agreement or its free trade pillar, some nations within the EU, like Slovenia and Spain, have taken their own concrete steps individually. For example, to sanction Israel by imposing a full arms embargo, or to sanction Israeli officials. So do you welcome these individual or independent steps taken by states like Spain and Slovenia? And do you think this should be the way forward for European states to take action on their own rather than as the EU, as a bloc?
Yeah, definitely. This is something I've argued various times. International law is not superseded. International law, peremptory norms of international law that cannot be derogated, take precedence over regional agreements. So it seems to me that the European Union and its trade agreements are used to circumvent something that could not be circumvented, which is the compliance with international law, with the prevention, with the obligation to prevent genocide, for example. There is a clear decision, a clear statement by the International Court of Justice in the case of Nicaragua versus Germany that reminds member states not to transfer weapons, including components, to states who might commit violations of international humanitarian law. So we even have a lower threshold that is indicated by the court. So member states should stop trading weapons, transferring weapons, buying weapons. I mean, by Israel. So this is enough, and it obliges states. So the fact that using the European Union as an excuse, as a finger behind which to hide, is quite hypocritical. And in any case, it doesn't spare these states and their governments from accountability. It shouldn't, at least.
What's your message to Italy, your home country, and Germany, the two nations that are behind blocking joint EU action with respect to the association agreement with Israel?
That they don't miss an opportunity to make the wrong choices in history. These two countries have individually the highest responsibility to prevent genocide, given particularly Germany for its record. Germany has already brought havoc upon Europe and beyond once in history, and is not contributing to avoid and to prevent another genocide. And Italy is following suit. It's a very sad coincidence that 1 century later, these two countries are still on the wrong side of history. But what I tell them is comply with your international obligations. Otherwise, you and your government officials will have to face consequences. And this is why I'm so reassured that at least in Italy, there is a responsible and conscientious civil society who's taking legal action against government officials, against companies. I'm not aware of similar actions in Germany, but also Italy is. There is a turmoil in the country at the moment. There are several strikes that have been declared, that continue to be declared. There is a huge strike that is upcoming this month on the 28th and 29th of November. And it's very important that citizens, ordinary citizens, keep on protesting and direct their strikes toward ports and other places from which weapons are transferred to Israel. Sorry, Italy is also in violation of a quite stringent law on arms trade, and there should. I mean, this is why those involved should face consequences.